Yeah, Jeff Jones with the Globe and Mail. For Minister Wilkinson, you talked about the importance of attracting investment for critical minerals, and we've seen that just in the last couple of days with Glencore and Teck. But at the same time, your colleague, Minister Champagne, has made the rules for net benefit reviews much more restrictive than they were before. Is there a risk that that could actually limit the availability of capital for critical minerals projects?
No. And I would say no. I don't think so. So the new formulation of net benefit applies only to critical mining companies that actually have large-scale operations in Canada that are currently Canadian companies. It doesn't affect exploration. It doesn't affect early development. It doesn't affect investments coming into the country to develop critical minerals. But what it says is those companies in Canada that are headquartered in Canada, their head offices are in Canada, their research and development is done in Canada, are important. And it's important to Canada for Canada to have flagship enterprises in an area that is strategic. And so it affects only a very few companies in Canada, and I don't think it will have any impact on investment flows.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merci.
Minister Wilkinson, you talked about trying to accelerate approval of major projects. Can you be specific? Which projects would be eligible? Which projects would not be eligible? And what tangible difference do you think the changes that you've agreed to here will actually make in getting projects forward and getting final investment decisions?
So they are typically larger projects. There is a threshold, but it's I don't recall exactly what the threshold is off the top of my head, but these are projects in the hundreds of millions of dollars, so it doesn't affect small projects across the country. And essentially, I would say it will do a whole range of things. Having a central office in the Privy Council office, which is the Prime Minister's department, enables us to ensure that there is much more effective coordination amongst federal departments that may be involved not only in environmental assessments, but often more so even in permitting, to try to ensure that we are driving better coordination at the federal level. I would also say that the commitment to putting forward a dashboard of all of those projects, including the timelines, and a separate dashboard on the specific permits that are required, provides transparency and will be a forcing function on the federal public service and federal politicians to ensure that we actually abide by the types of guidelines around timing that we have put out concurrent with this. The other part of this, though, that I would say is it is extremely important that we work closely with provinces and territories. We both have regulatory and permitting processes. Even where the federal government has no involvement in environmental assessments, we still often have a role in permitting, including things like DFO and the Fisheries Act. We need to find ways to ensure that we are working in lockstep so that we actually are not asking proponents to do things twice and that we are doing things as quickly as we possibly can. And so we are proposing to provinces tools like substitution, which we have done with BC, where the province takes on to do all of the work and the federal government simply supports the province, or cooperation agreements where we identify which pieces each is going to do. So I do think this is going to have a major impact, and it will allow us to actually move forward expeditiously.
And Chris, I'd just like to say it's obvious the federal government listened on this. We've had decades of a dismal investment as a result of some of these barriers, and the devil's in the details, but it's good news indeed. And I'd like to compliment the federal government on this initiative, and let's see what happens, and let's work closely together with them to make sure that we can streamline and make a better investment climate for everyone.
Merci.